So every year, as you guys saw in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, we get asked to attend the Gartner bakeoff. So the top 3 vendors, so Microsoft, Tableau is usually there. This year was Oracle. We get asked to compete in a British bake-off style for data. So they basically give us a data set, and they say, ready, steady, bake. And our goal is to come up with the best analysis. And this year was the first year in which I would say that I use the word crushed lightly here, but we crushed our position because we used Copilot, and I was the one there, so all the credit goes to me. So I showed Copilot in a lot of the experiences, and I'm going to show you the demo that I did live on stage. So this is the exact demo that I did live on stage, and you have to do it all live. And the data set and the story I'm going to tell you is, so the theme for this year was on poverty data. So that's why I'm going to be talking about poverty a lot in this example. But I want to just give you an example of how I use Copilot end to end. So at the heart of it, I started off looking at Italy. And I wanted to really focus on how Italy is dealing with poverty. And the reason why I picked Italy is if you look at government public spending, Italy is 5th place ranked out of all the EU countries. If you look at population, they have the 3rd highest ranked population, the 3rd highest population in all the EU countries. If you look at all the other life expectancy and EDMG gross domestic product, they're 3rd respectively. But if you look at poverty specifically, they are 44th ranked in terms of they have one of the lowest, the highest poverty rates. They're 44th ranked out of all the EU countries. And the thing that's interesting is if you drill down more deeper into Italy, you get this nice little chart here. I'm going to actually go back to poverty. You'll see a large divide between the north and the south. Now, a lot of people attribute this to the mafia. I'm here to show you that it's not because of the mafia that this is the case. I'm going to show you via Copilot today. Now, I could use Power BI today, and I can go and drill into all the different features and kind of eyeball the data. So in this example during the demo, I was like, OK, I could look at the road conditions, and I can click on the road conditions here. And I can kind of eyeball that the north has better road conditions than the south. I could look at the population and look at how much of the population have a basic education. And again, you can see this, the north and south divide. However, I'm a lazy employee. I don't want to have to go through every single variable by variable, seeing what correlates with poverty and go through that. So this is how I started, I was trying to explain. Now, so I'm going to go ahead and use Copilot. And to give you an example of how unfriendly Gartner are to us is they give us access to a lot of data. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to expand the data view here. And you're going to see that I have over 1,000 measures of socioeconomic factors for Italy. And so this list goes on. Like I've got all of the data here. I've got population sizes, CO2 emissions. I've got education attainment. I've got like health expenditures. And look at the scroll bar. These are the number of measures I have. Now, going through every single variable and seeing how it relates to poverty is unreasonable. And this is where I said, I am going to use Copilot to help me do this analysis. Copilot will help me from my journey. So I'm going to dock away the data pane, because I don't need that. I'm going to go and open up the Copilot pane. And when I open up the Copilot pane, the thing I love about Copilot is it gives me plenty of places to start off on. So I'm going to say, can you suggest me places on how I can start off my report creation experience? So I'm going to click expand here, and it tells me, the thing I love is it knows I can do economic performance analysis, trade, population, or health analysis directly from the schema of the data. Now I'm going to do economic performance analysis, and this is going to take a couple of seconds to create a beautiful report for me. But I love the fact that Copilot knows that the best way to measure economic performance analysis is to look at GDP over time. It just knows that, and it knows all from that domain. Now, if it doesn't help you always, Copilot is an assistive experience. I can also say is, I'm missing inflation. Copilot, can you add inflation? So I'm going to ask Copilot, can you add in inflation onto this report? I'm going to hit enter here in a second. And now what Copilot will do is automatically relay out the content of the report and bring in the inflation field for Italy directly onto this report canvas. And so you're going to see in a couple of seconds, it's brought in inflation. I'm going to move away the Copilot pane. And now it's created me my report. It gives me a good starting point. It helps me do the economic performance analysis trends directly here using the Copilot experience. Now, Gartner are somewhat unfriendly. They say, OK, cool. How about we give you a question, and your job is to answer this question? So I open up the Copilot pane. So actually, no, I'm going to start a new page. I'm going to open up my Copilot pane again. And I'm going to ask Copilot, can you examine poverty with health? A very simple question, but actually a very detailed answer. And I'm going to hit enter here. And what Copilot's going to do is go through all of the different things around poverty and health and bring in relevant insights and create me a beautiful report so I can actually go through the journey. And this will take a couple of seconds. So this is real-life performance. So it does take a couple of seconds if you have a very large model like I did today to go and figure out all the different combinations and permutations that it needs to render. And so once you get a report, you get the same looking report. Now, I want to draw your attention to the top left corner, the blue chart. One thing I did not know before I did this demo, that the best way to measure a country's performance on poverty is to look at how much of the population can survive on $6.85. The fact that Copilot was able to bring that right value, there's 25 things in my model called poverty, it brought the right value directly because it understands domains really well, it understands general knowledge. Now, the great thing about Copilot is also brought in the relevant health indicators. So it knows the best way to measure health is to look at government health expenditure, look at the undernourishment, look at the life expectancy over time, look at the suicide mortality rate, and also the infant mortality rate as well. So it just knows that just by looking at the data that these are the interesting things. Now, Copilot is an assistive experience. You can also move the visuals around. It's not a one-and-done experience. I can easily just relay out the content just as I see fit. But I want to show you another cool feature that I love about Copilot is sometimes my VP loves to see things in textual format. They don't like visuals. And so I'm going to use Copilot to summarize what I see on the page in a nice format that I can easily copy and paste in an email. So I'm going to ask Copilot, can you summarize this data and can you put it in bullet point form? I'm going to click Update here. And now I have nice, beautiful bullet points of my data. Now, my VP likes things in whole sentences, not short sentences. So I'm going to just quickly ask Copilot to put in sentences. So I can easily copy this in an email. And I'm just going to update the guidance that I give to Copilot. I'm going to hit Enter here. And you're going to see in a couple of seconds, it's going to give me those bullet points, but with whole sentences. So I can easily copy and paste them in emails. Now, it also gives you these little numbers, if you can guys see, like it says 1 and 2. When you click on these little numbers, it actually tells you which part of the summary came from which part of the report. So it helps me build trust between me and the AI, between what's actually happening on screen. And so I get a bit trigger happy during the demo here. I started clicking on all of them just to prove the point. Now, the final thing that Gartner asked us to do was, hey, can you ask questions on your data? So sometimes my VP will come in a meeting and say, hey, what is something, something, something? So in this case, he was like, what year had the highest poverty rate? I can hit Enter here. And a very common problem people have is that they have many report pages, but they lose track of which answers on which report page. The great thing about Copilot is it can give you the answer, tells you where it found the answer, so you can actually build, again, that trust between me and the AI. Now, the final thing I want to go through here is sometimes the data model author forgets to do something. So in this case, I want to do a year-over-year calculation on poverty headcount. Now, my report author forgot to do that. Normally, I would go into Excel, export into Excel. But the great thing about Copilot is I can directly do the calculation directly inside the experience. So I can ask Copilot what is the year-over-year change since 2015 for poverty? And now Copilot will render me a table of the answer directly inside my Copilot experience. This will take a couple of seconds. And I think I zoom in. I get a bit trigger happy with the zoom here, just to show you guys it's working. But it gives you that year-over-year calculation. So it's really helping me through my end-to-end data journey. So these are just some of the ways, Kim, that we're really enabling Copilot for our users from an end-to-end experience.